Welcome. In the past, the rights of the girl child were infringed, and hence a lot of support was given to the girl child. But as we were doing that, we lost the boy child. Today, we want to understand what we should do as sisters to the boy child, as aunties, as mothers, as fathers, as the society, the church, to be able to rescue him. In the last program, we got very practical, tangible, realistic ways and measures of being able to per se rescue the boy child. I hope you got hold of that episode, because we understand about innovation, technology, job opportunities. What should I do in case I am a boy child and I feel like I do not have job opportunities? Real life questions with real life solutions. My name is Super Waroy, and this is Ask the Ministers of God. Karibuni sana, introduce yourselves.
And I'm Karanja boy child, still doing the ministry for the boy child and the men, trying to tell them there's still hope, even when it looks like it is impossible.
Asante sana.
Apostle Dan Yeshimo, and welcome to this program.
Asante sana. Yes, and we have our audience in Studio A. I hope you're getting us loud and clear. And let us just get a question from them right now.
Does a boy child and a girl child develop differently in the brain, psychological?
Interesting, and of course that question, and he asks, does the boy child and the girl child develop differently psychologically? And probably the reason why they ask such questions would be, we've been told, mtoto wa kike anafikiria haraka, anafanya mambo haraka. If it is a boy child, we've thought of them being slower, and probably, or vice versa. And I don't know where or at what point we put more emphasis on the girl child. Karanja.
Thank you very much. I would say psychologically well or biologically well, a child is developing. At the initial stages, a male child is very weak, and that's why even at times we lose so many of them, because they are weak even physically. Also mentally, in the development, you also realize that girls develop faster. And even in doing of things, you realize that they do things faster, they think faster and act. Though the young men later, they will think of one item and perfectly. Then girls can think of so many things. Even if they're not going to be perfect, then they're going to think of so many things and handle so many things at the same time. So scientifically, we say that women can think with the right and the left part of the brain, while the men think with one part of the brain. So that makes the difference.
So men and women, apostle, or boys and girls, develop differently psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and this is a biological design by the chief designer, and that is God. And it is true. If you compare a girl of 12 years and a boy of 12 years, in fact, there is more maturity at that age of a girl than of a boy. And that happens, and probably that is the design. That is the design of God. Not probably, that is the design of God. Nevertheless, they are still developing. And still, even without development, it doesn't mean that he is relinquished, the young man, as he grows up. Doesn't mean that he is relinquished of his responsibilities. He still has responsibilities. And especially when you come to the scriptures, he has been given the leading role. Nobody can deny that. Even when you read, some of the letters that were written by Paul, it clearly says a man is the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. So already he has been given a role to play. And that means, although that is the case, it does not actually cause any displacement that a man becomes of a lesser human being than the lady. So still the question of mentors, and especially people that understand this chemistry of the brain growth, either left or the right. There are people, experts, who have understood that. That doesn't mean that, you know, they have to relinquish their responsibilities in the upbringing of the boy child as he develops.
So it is just part of the psychological
yes.
development, and it is
It is a part of the growth. It's a part of the development.
And the system of a boy child and girl child.
And it's also good to understand that, because even as they grow also towards teenage, there are also challenges that pop up at teenage. It's not that that child has been possessed by the devil. It's only that as a mentor you have to understand and move in very quickly and help that child.
Thank you. And we're getting another question right now from Studio B. I hope you're getting us loud and clear.
As a boy child, there's a lot of pressure to join a group. And as a loner, uko nje, utavamiwa na utapigwa. So there's that security in numbers and the need to feel accepted by your peers.
Peer pressure and joining groups. I don't know whether we call them vigilante. I don't know what we would call those small groups for affirmation. It says there's a lot of peer pressure, especially now, for the young men, for the young boys, our boy child. And ambo lazima jiunge na hiki kikundi, especially those who grew up rejected. I mean, why is this happening?
Thank you very much. I've handled a number of such cases, and you realize that when young men are faced by challenges and they do not know what to do, and they have no mentor to run to, they can't run to man A, man B, and they don't want to share with their mothers, they share with their peers. And while they get to sharing with their peers, some of them, like, if I give an example, the other day I'd gone to check on one who was brought to the courts, and he was taken back to the police station and was told, come and counsel this young man. Then when we were talking, he said, no, my friends come to me and they tell me we can break this shop and get money. We buy mandazis, we buy good things. He was talking buying good things, and they want also to own
How old was he approximately?
A class 7 boy.
My goodness.
From January to March, he has been arrested twice.
That is a 14-year-old, maybe?
Yes, that is 13, 14. Another one was burnt by people because of stealing small metals. They want to make money. They want to make money and have a life for themselves. If we leave them out, they're trying to find their life. And while they cannot run to the older men, who are actually, so many of them are in the drinking sprees, then they come together themselves and they want to think of what can we do. The other thing is, I can fault our political system, because again, our politicians are comfortable bringing these young men together and trying to give them some chores and give them some little amounts of money. Then when they drop them, then these young men have to group. When you say chores, could you kindly elaborate that? And I'll also ask Apostle Gishimo to elaborate, because we need to really talk these things out so that the young person listening to us will understand that these small chores are never given to the sons of the politicians, but are given to them for 50, 100 bob. Yeah, true. If you go back to 2017, because it's not very far, the people who are doing the posters, you look at some of them, either those ones who are carrying or those who are carrying the wheat flour, the young, very young boys. Or to do the posters for the politicians. To do the posters for the politicians. And even go cheer them, and even go to the villages and talk about these politicians. They want to use these young ones who are going to get very little amounts of money and talk about you and sing your chorus. Then when you either get the position or you don't get the position, you leave them. And they had gotten used to earning some little amounts of money. So what happens to them? You've already brought them together for a month or 2 or 3, so they are bonded. So they will say, now what's the way forward? If they're going to have a leader in their midst who will show them the wrong way, and they're going to, they're definitely going to take the wrong route. Take, for example, here in Nakuru, we have a group called Confirm. Those are very tiny boys, really. Really? Some of them are young I've actually boys. Thought we have young and not, a bit mature. Yes. They are young, from young to some of them who are a bit mature. And they are actually feared so much. And the people would ask what is confirmed. Apostle, are you aware of the confirmed?
I am not aware of them.
Kindly elaborate.
Well, of course, we have other groups also from where I come from.
Yes.
So these ones I think they want to confirm what your M-Pesa has.
Yeah, they say confirm your M-Pesa amount is, it was sent wrongly to, so kindly refund.
Those ones I have received also.
Yes. So we have that confirm. If you go to, say, you go to Mombasa on the shores, again you find some young boys either giving out the floaters, and showing people how to swim. And our authorities are very comfortable with that, because basically, if like there is a politician there, instead of them talking it out and coming up with policies that let us have every child in class. If this is a class time, then even if these are boys and we are not sure of whether they're going to get jobs, let them be in class. We need to have those policies needs to be followed to the letter. If you go to the shores of Lake Victoria again, you find boys there, so many of them. But when we have a policy saying that every child is entitled to mandatory education, nobody is bothering. They're there doing fish. So it's like we have also failed a little bit. Like we are not very careful that these young men are not going to school. They're not in class. Go to another place. I'm giving examples so that anybody who would walk there will find young men doing some work, manual work, instead of being in school. We have Maunarok. Again, Maunarok, you walk there. The other day we had we saw that they're talking of slavery in Maunarok. And while they're talking about that, we have a chief there, we have a sub-chief there, we have a ACC, we have a DCC, we have everybody there, and nobody seems to be caring about why these young men are there. So it's actually a thing that we should think about collectively, because if they are left out and they feel like we are not going to be rained on again, so we can form a gang, and if we meet with Karanja, we can force him to give us 100 or 1,000 shillings. And if they manage to get that 100 or 200, then they're going to say that we can specialize on this. After all, this is cheap. We're making this money without using a lot of energy.
Easy money.
Yeah, so basically, actually, at that point, we can say, let us empower the boy child and secure the society.
Wow, it is very, very sad, Apostle.
Yeah,
I mean, it is very sad to hear that our young boys are on the shores trying to teach us how to swim, hiring this and the other, forming small groups. And like the person who just asked that says, there's a lot of pressure for the young people. Join a group, be secure, find a family.
And that is a problem, Super. Now, in fact, let me make this statement. And if there are some of our policymakers who are our politicians who are out there listening to me, we should take it seriously, very, very seriously. In some of the countries, like Norway, for example, if a young man or anybody who is employable, and of course a majority of the people are young people, they have no job, the government takes is my responsibility. It is our responsibility as a government to do something to make sure that this child gets employed. If he's not employed, it is our responsibility to pay them.
Wow.
So they get paid for not being employed by the government. It's like we as a government have failed to provide you with a job. So we must pay the fine.
To compensate.
So that young man will never think of joining a vigilante group, will never think of robbing Apostle Greshimo to get something.
Yeah, but now when you look at our politicians, it's very unfortunate because to me, my observation, at my age, there is no enough emphasis and focus on our young people. And remember, this is a problem in Africa because the number of the young people in Africa, they amount to 460 million.
Wow.
That's a very big problem. And I think it's at high time that our politicians also have to change the gear of their game, thinking about these young people.
They cannot just use them during politics
because
or the season
they
of
also
election.
know if they want to succeed in the elections, you know, these are the people they use. So, and that is actually not even using them properly. It's actually misusing them.
Yes.
You know, just for them to get into
power,
the position they want to get to. And then after that, they go to parliament and they forget all about it, unfortunately. And allow me to say this, with all due respect, my leaders, because I respect you, but with all due respect, some of you have been corrupt. And I'm not vindicating anybody. When you are corrupt, remember the corruption that you are perpetuating. Maybe you have used billions somewhere all by yourself. Sometimes those billions would have employed thousands and thousands of young people. And I have statistics, super. I read in a certain paper that the money that is lost in public procurement, for example, is enough to employ about 87,000 young people. And this is the money that is lost in bribes. Then when you come to private sector, you have another amount of money that is enough to employ 166 million, thousand Kenyans. That is young people. So if you put that in a year, 250 people cannot be employed because of corruption. And this corruption now, even if you look at the way our policymakers are fighting it, is like a joke.
This is very sad, and we're talking
And
about
therefore,
rescuing the boy child.
Yes.
And Apostle Geshimo, it's actually not even interesting. It's not even sad.
It's sad.
Very, very sad.
Very sad.
That young man you see drowning in alcoholism, in depression, should be employed if the politicians were responsible with the public funds. We'll be right back.